तन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगणा ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितंश्च नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वंचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So very happy to be here at Vijay 2 and Abhilasha Mataji's place here. So it's a very nice house, and I think this house has become all the more beautiful by having this satsang here. So very happy to be here, and very happy to meet all the devotees again. So last week we had discussed a little on the glories of Bhagavad Gita, just given a little introduction to the Bhagavad Gita, and we had started off with chapter 1 verse 1. You all remember? Last week we did this. Did any of you learn the first verse?
I think I've learned.
Really?
Yes.
Can you chant it?
Yes.
Without looking?
Yeah, without looking.
Yes,
I'll
please.
try. Maybe I made a mistake.
Please.
Dharmakshetre, Kurukshetre, Samaveta, Yuyotsavaha, Mamakaha, Pandavaschaiva, Kim Kurvata Sanjaya.
Very good. First class. First class. Right. So it's not very difficult. You just keep repeating it till you understand. Good. So we discussed this first verse. We can repeat it again actually today. Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsavaha Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kim Kurvata Sanjaya. Good. You all want to repeat again? Dhritarashtra'S Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsavaha Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kim Kurvata Sanjaya. So basically this verse is Dhritarashtra is asking this question. My dear Sanjay, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled on this battlefield of Kurukshetra, which is a Dharma Kshetra, what did they do? That's the question that Dhritarashtra is asking. So we discussed a little on the history of Mahabharata. We discussed why this war had to happen. So we'll not get into the whole history, but we saw that how life is such that however much you may plan, there are certain problems that are inevitable. Right? You just can't avoid certain problems in life. So we saw how Shantanu Maharaj tried his best, to get married to Ganga and all that, but it just didn't work. And finally, the whole situation reaches a place where there are these two sons, there are two people who can sit on this throne of Hastinapur. One is Dhritarashtra and the other is Pandu. Right? But Dhritarashtra is elder one. She's okay?
Yeah. Hare Krishna, sorry for being late.
No issue. So Dhritarashtra, you're okay? So Dhritarashtra is the elder one, but what is the problem with Dhritarashtra?
He's blind.
He was blind. So because he was blind, he couldn't sit on the throne. So the throne eventually goes to Pandu, the younger brother. But it so happens that Pandu also dies. And Pandu is left with a widow, wife, and 5 children. So now these 5 children come back to the kingdom. So Pandu dies in the forest. So Kunti comes back to the kingdom along with the 5 Pandavas. And Dhritarashtra is supposed to be the eldermost man in the whole family. He's supposed to be taking care of all the children. But from the beginning, Dhritarashtra, he's trying to eliminate the Pandavas. Because Dhritarashtra felt, injustice is done to me. And what was the injustice? Being blind. So being blind is, whom can you blame? So everyone in life comes with a certain situation. But it's very important that we see the silver lining and we don't keep crying and cribbing about that situation. So Dhritarashtra throughout he felt that injustice is done to me, injustice is done to me. So he somehow wanted the kingdom to go to his son Duryodhan, even though Duryodhan is not supposed to rule. Because the official king was Pandu. So the kingdom actually is supposed to go to Pandu's eldest son, which was Yudhishthir Maharaj. So this is how the whole situation of Mahabharata came to a certain point where war was inevitable. So if you have heard and read the story of Mahabharata, you all will understand that Dhritarashtra, right from the beginning when the Pandavas were small children, they tried in so many ways to eliminate the Pandavas. But somehow Krishna's mercy, they were all saved. So there's a very beautiful verse in the scripture which says, Rake Krishna Mare Krishna Rake ke. If Krishna decides to protect you, no one can kill you. And if Krishna has decided you're destined that you're going to die, whatever you try, no one can protect you. Right? So the Pandavas were destined to rule. So how much ever these people tried, they didn't die. So this story is the story of a blind king Dhritarashtra who was physically blind, but more than that, he chose to be spiritually blind. Physical blindness is something that he couldn't do with. Okay, that was the reality of his life. But spiritual blindness is something that we choose to do. So Dhritarashtra being physically blind was not the problem. The problem was he was spiritually blind also. See, in history, in this world, you have so many people who are blind, but still they chose to do very wonderful things with their life. Right? Just because there is defect in one part of the body doesn't mean that your entire life is a failure. You can do still so many things, isn't it? In our way, like Surdas. Surdas was a blind saint, but he sang so well, he became such a great devotee. We have Bilwanga Thakur, so many personalities like this. We have so many people who are painters, blind but painters, musicians. So the point is, when you choose to focus on what is missing in your life, you tend to become negative. And that negativity spills over and you make the lives of others also miserable and negative. So that's the story of Dhritarashtra. He felt injustice was done to him. Right? He couldn't see all the positive things in his life. See, even though he's born blind, he's at least born in a royal kingdom. He has so much facilities. But because he kept focusing on that one thing that is missing in his life, he chose to be miserable. So whether we are going to be happy or miserable depends on what we focus on. If we focus on what is missing in our life, we'll be miserable. But if we focus to be grateful to what we have in life, then we'll be the happy ones. In English there's a saying, it is not the happy people who are grateful, it is the grateful people who are happy. So the way to happiness is to be grateful. Grateful for small things. So Dhritarashtra, he continued to be blind to so many things, and he slowly trained his son also in the wrong direction. Right? he trained Duryodhan also in the wrong direction. In fact, when Duryodhan was born, when the child was born, so many people came and told Dhritarashtra, reject Duryodhan, send him away from your kingdom. Because this fellow will be the cause of the destruction of your entire kingdom. But Dhritarashtra was overly attached to his son, his evil son, and he kept allowing him to do all his evil activities. And the result is it led to this point of a war. So as leaders or as responsible people, it is very important for us to train our dependents. What kind of training we give to the future generations. Whether it's going to be the training of selfishness, whether it is going to be the training of exploitation, or whether it is going to be the training of service and helping others. So the Pandavas, they were trained by Pandu and Kunti Maharani in a life of service. And that's why they become successful in life. Duryodhan was trained by his father Dhritarashtra and by Shakuni and others to become an exploitative person. And Duryodhan became the most selfish, arrogant person in life. So Dhritarashtra is actually the root cause of this entire problem. So even though it generally appears that Duryodhan is the evil guy, but actually it is Dhritarashtra who made Duryodhan who he was. Understanding? Just like now in Hindi movies you have an underworld don, there's a brain behind everything. He sends someone to kill, but actually there's someone else who's sitting and planning. So we feel that this person is the cause, but actually so Dhritarashtra, he showed as if he's like very innocent, can't do anything, but actually he is the cause of all the problem. So the Mahabharata explains that there are two trees, the tree of the Kauravas and the tree of the Pandavas. The Kauravas tree is considered to be the tree of adharma, the tree of wrong, doing all sinful activities, adharmic activities. And the root of this tree was Dhritarashtra. He was the cause of this entire war because he didn't correct Duryodhan when he's supposed to be corrected. There's the story of one child, he would go to school and he would pick up, from his friend, he would steal one pencil, one sharpener, this, that. Slowly, and because he was doing this one at a time, his mother and father didn't correct him. And slowly became a very dangerous thief and a criminal. And he was actually sentenced to death. Because it started with something small. So it's important that as parents, as elders, we correct the future generation. If we don't do it, the future generation will completely be destroyed. So even though Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan tried in so many ways to kill the Pandavas, but the Pandavas always took shelter of Krishna. And Krishna did come to help them. So Mahabharata story, the center line is this. The center line is this personality of Krishna and the devotees of like the Pandavas. At every difficult time in their life, they turned to Krishna. And Krishna did come to help them. So like the Pandavas, we are all in a situation where there is someone or the other scheming against us or something or the other is always going wrong in our life. So the lesson we have to learn from Mahabharata is taking shelter of Krishna. This one thing can actually bring great transformation and great miracles in our life. So finally when this war was inevitable, so I think all of you all know the storyline that I think I told you this last time. Finally there was this gambling match that happened. And Duryodhan and party took everything away from the Pandavas and they sent them to forest for 13 years. Now 13 years, without any fault of theirs, they have gone to the forest. Still they tolerated everything. After 13 years, they come back and they send Krishna as the peace messenger. So Krishna goes as the Shanti Dut. And Krishna tells Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan, see whatever it is, the Pandavas don't want to get into a war because war means destruction on every level. So my suggestion is just give the Pandavas 5 villages. They are also kings, they are also rulers. Just give them 5 villages and you keep the rest. Duryodhan is not ready for that also. So therefore it led to a point where the war was inevitable. So the Supreme Lord Krishna, like he gave Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra a chance, the Lord keeps giving us chances every now and then. But the problem with us is we are not able to take these opportunities, these chances that Krishna gives us. So life throws us different opportunities. Krishna keeps giving us so many chances every now and then, for us to rectify, for us to take shelter of Him, for us to take up to the right path. But every now and then we are not able to do it. So it's important for us that when these opportunities come, God-given opportunities, like the satsang here, it's actually a God-given opportunity to come and hear Bhagavad Gita, to take to the process of bhakti, to take up chanting. Now we have only two choices: either take it up or reject it. So Krishna is doing this role of giving chances, and you see how Krishna is so humble. He is going all the way. He is the Supreme Lord. He is going all the way as a peace messenger to give these guys a chance. But these people are not able to appreciate the offer and the endeavor that Krishna is putting in. So the Lord is ready to give chances to us. It is our responsibility to take this opportunity seriously. An intelligent person will take this opportunity seriously. Just like a businessman, an expert businessman, when opportunities of business comes to him, he doesn't give it up. Right? Whatever it is, he will do it. Just like Marwadis, Gujaratis, even if it's late in the night, if they are getting a business opportunity, they will pick it up. Very smart people. So similarly, in spiritual life, we have to be that intelligent and smart. As soon as an opportunity comes, immediately encash on it. So that kind of greed we should have for spiritual life. So Krishna kept giving these people so many chances, but they were not ready. In fact, the Mahabharata explains that when Krishna went as this Shanti Dut, Krishna, in order to convince them that he is the Supreme Lord, Krishna showed the universal form there. Can you believe? The universal form that Krishna showed Arjuna, Krishna showed it before to Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra. Even after seeing this universal form of Krishna, these guys didn't change. Adamant, hard nuts to crack. They didn't change. So what could Krishna do? Nothing. So Krishna just walked away and the war was inevitable at this point. So finally, when the war was supposed to happen, both the parties had to increase their army because this is going to be like a massive war. So Duryodhana already was the ruler at that point. The kingdom was his. So he had like a huge army. The Pandavas were thrown out to the forest. They didn't have anything with them. They had to start from scratch. The only thing they had was their goodwill. Because they were good people, so many people came to their support, even though they had nothing to offer. So the Pandavas, even in this situation, being in the forest with nothing, they got 7 Akshauhini Senas. Akshauhini is a division. They got 7 Akshauhini Senas. And the Kauravas, Duryodhana and the others, they had 11 Akshauhini Senas. So there's a very interesting story when they were going to different people to get alliances. So both Arjuna and Duryodhana, they go to Dwarka. You have heard this story? Very interesting story. So both Arjuna and Duryodhana, they go to Dwarka. I mean, Duryodhana is such a opportunist. He hates Krishna, but still this guy is going to Krishna to take a favor. This is the height of shamelessness. He has no faith in Krishna, but still is going to Krishna because he wants to take something from Krishna. So when both Arjuna and Duryodhana go, Krishna is lying in his bed. So Duryodhana comes and stands near the head of Krishna. And Arjuna comes and stands at the feet of Krishna. Here only you can understand the difference in training. Demons like Duryodhana, untrained guys, they are not accustomed to treat superior people with respect. They feel they are the greatest. So he goes and stands near the head of Krishna and Arjuna is standing at the feet. So when Krishna opens his eyes, whom does he look at? He looks at Arjuna. Right? So standing at the feet of Krishna is more advantageous. So Krishna is asking Arjuna, what do you want? And Krishna gives 2 options. What are the 2 options? He says, one option is, I will come on your side, but I will not lift any weapons. And the other option is, you can take my entire Sena, Narayani Sena, the Yadu Sena, very powerful warrior, The most powerful warriors at that times. You can take them and they can be on your side. Arjuna immediately chose Krishna. Today is voting now. All of you are voting? So everyone wants to vote, right? So here was an option, right? Arjuna was on this voting booth and he had this option, Krishna or the army of Krishna. Whom did Arjuna choose? Krishna. Without a second thought. With full faith, Arjuna didn't calculate in terms of material ways. So when you surrender to Krishna, if you think in terms of material understanding, how will it help me? You'll not be able to progress in life. Arjuna just chose Krishna. He said, I just want Krishna with weapons or without weapons, I don't care. I want Krishna with me. And Duryodhana was thinking, Arjuna is such a fool. What is Krishna going to do? Krishna without weapons is useless. What is Krishna going to do? And Duryodhana was so happy to take the Narayani Sena of Krishna. But at the end, who was more intelligent, Arjuna or Duryodhana? Arjuna was more intelligent. Because Krishna with weapons or without weapons, Krishna is just having Krishna on your side can change everything. So Duryodhana didn't understand that Krishna being there, Krishna is going to use all his intelligence to change the whole strategy of the war. And Krishna did that completely. So it's very important for us that we make these choices in life. So voting, you may choose a certain party, but what is important that in life, whom do we choose? Do we choose Krishna or we choose the resources of Krishna? Do we choose God or do we choose the resources of God? Duryodhan-like people, they don't want God, but they want the resources of God. Just like Ravan, what did Ravan do? He kidnapped Sita. Sita represents Lakshmi, or she represents prosperity or the resources of God. Ravan wanted the resources of God, but he didn't want God. He didn't want Ram. And he was destroyed. So it's important that we chose Krishna, we chose God. If you choose God, automatically the resources of God will come with you. So in this way, Krishna decides to go on the side of Arjuna. So the first verse of Bhagavad Gita that we saw now, what is the first letter of this verse? Dharma kshetre kurukshetre. Yeah, Dhritarashtra'S. The first word of Bhagavad Gita is the letter Dha. The first letter of Bhagavad Gita, Dha. And what is the last letter of Bhagavad Gita? You all can open the last verse of Bhagavad Gita. 18th chapter. The 74th verse, 76th verse. 18th chapter. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna. Which verse that is? Verse number?
Last letter you read.
Yeah. Which verse number it is?
78.
78. The last verse of Bhagavad Gita. What is the last letter? The letter Ma. So the first letter of Bhagavad Gita is the letter Dha. And the last letter of Bhagavad Gita is the letter Ma. And between Dha and Ma is what letter? Ra. So Bhagavad Gita is basically a Dharma Shastra. Right? Between Dha and Ma is the word Ra. So Bhagavad Gita refers to Dharma. Right? And what does Dharma mean? What is the meaning of the word Dharma? Yeah. So some may say Dharma. Sanatana Dharma, correct. So Dharma may mean religion.
Righteousness. Righteousness.
Yeah, righteousness. Dharma may mean religion, it may mean righteousness. Someone may say dharma is duty, right? That is also dharma, right? Dharma of a student, the dharma of a warrior, like that. So dharma has different understandings. One understanding is a common understanding of the word religion or duty. But Srila Prabhupada and all our acharyas explain the actual meaning of dharma. Dharma actually means constitutional position. What does dharma mean? Constitutional position. I'll give you an example. Like sugar. Sugar. What is the dharma of sugar? Sweet. That means the constitutional position of sugar is sweet. You can't have a sugar that is not sweet. Is it possible? Salty sugar. It can't be. Sugar means sweetness. That means that which cannot be separated from that item. You can't separate sweetness from sugar, or salt, saltiness, it's like the dharma of salt. Like Prabhupada would give an example, water. What is the dharma of water? To be liquid. In an unnatural state, the water may become solid, but in its natural state, the water just flows. So similarly, what is our constitutional position? What is our dharma? Our dharma is actually service to God. As Atma, the body may have different kinds of dharma, right? Someone may be a warrior, someone may be a man, women, we may have different kinds of dharma. But as Atma, we all have one dharma, and the dharma is service to God. That's what we are all meant to do, right? So therefore, Bhagavad Gita is a book that is meant to inspire us, educate us, train us, so that we can come to this point of actual dharma, where we can surrender our lives to Krishna, right? And we can live our life based on service to God. So difference between Arjuna and Duryodhana is, Duryodhana lived a very selfish life. He was living a life for his own enjoyment. But Arjuna lived a life in service of Krishna. The first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, as we get into it, you will understand, Arjuna really didn't want to fight the war only. He was not interested in the war. Even though it was his rightful claim to fight and get it, he was not. Matlab, Arjuna did this for the pleasure of Krishna. So therefore, this is called dharma. Here in this verse, the word Kurukshetra. What does Kurukshetra mean? Kurukshetra is a historical place which is still there. Right? I think it's some 400 kilometers away from Delhi. It's a place called Kurukshetra. And why did these people, why did the Pandavas and Kauravas choose Kurukshetra? Because Kurukshetra was considered a Dharma Kshetra. So previously, in the family of the Pandavas, there was a king called Kuru. So this Kuru Raja had done a lot of pious activities, yajnas in Kurukshetra. And the Supreme Lord appeared there as Lord Vishnu, and he gave him a benediction that whoever dies in this place will attain the heavenly planets. Therefore, while choosing to fight, they chose this place. The idea was, either party, whoever dies, because death is going to happen in a war only, you can't avoid death, but at least after death, they will attain a greater destination. So that means, in our Vedic culture, even choosing a place, even to fight, there is so much sensitivity that goes in it. It's not like a random fight that goes on. Even a place is chosen so properly and with so much thought behind it. Right now, if you go to Kurukshetra, you will still find that banyan tree. Banyan tree is there, where actually Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. So these are historical places. In WhatsApp, very often now you get these messages. See, when why classes like this are important is because, most people's understanding these days of Sanatan Dharma is some WhatsApp messages here and there. These messages may seem very great, but they don't have scriptural understanding. I don't know whether you have read this message, but you find some understanding which says, Kurukshetra is our body. You'll have people saying like this, Kurukshetra is our body, and the 5 senses represent the 5 Pandavas, Kauravas represent the difficulties, Krishna represents Atma, and all this kind of thing. It may sound very great, but scripturally it has no meaning. It has no reference in the scriptures. So Kurukshetra is actually a historical place. So it's not figurative. It's not that Mahabharata is figurative, that Krishna is this, Pandavas is this. It's a mythological story to convey this message. No. It's a historical fact. There was someone called Krishna. They were Pandavas. They were Kauravas. They were historical people. And Kurukshetra is a historical place where these incidences did happen. So you may derive some figurative understanding of it, but the point is you can't say that these things didn't happen at all. and Kurukshetra is just this body and this that, it really doesn't make any sense. So therefore, when we read scriptures properly, when we read Srila Prabhupada books properly, Srila Prabhupada will explain all these points in the purports. Kurukshetra is a holy place which you can still visit. So Prabhupada explains a very interesting point in that purport. You know, Hare Krishna.
Okay, so you heard breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I want to change that. I want to change it. Breakfast is the most
Suddenly by itself.
It's okay, no problem. Right. So Prabhupada explains something very interesting in the purport. Prabhupada says, because this place is called Dharma Kshetre. Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre. So Kurukshetra is what? Dharma Kshetra. Just like Kshetra basically means field. Kshetra is a field. Just like you have paddy field. So the paddy field, what generally grows? Paddy grows. Right? So Dharma Kshetra means where Dharma will grow. The plants of Dharma will grow. And Dharma plants here refer to the Pandavas and their party basically. Right? But in a paddy field, you may also have weeds growing. Right? Weeds are like unwanted plants that suck the energy of the actual plant. Right? But if you have a farmer present, an alert farmer, what will the farmer do? He will remove the weeds. He knows very clearly which is the actual plant and which are weeds. Sometimes now, if you are not an expert, you don't understand what is what. Because weeds also look like the actual plants. But if there's an expert farmer, he knows what are the weeds and he'll pluck the weeds out. So Dharma Kshetra, Kurukshetra was a Dharma Kshetra, where which plant is supposed to flourish? The Pandavas are supposed to flourish because they are on the path of Dharma. So Dhritarashtra, when he's asking this question, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, what did they do? Why is he asking this question? Because he wants to find out whether have the Pandavas compromised, whether the Pandavas they are ready to go back again to the forest. What has happened? Because it's a Dharma Kshetra, Dhritarashtra wants to know whether Duryodhan'S mind has changed, whether he has also become dharmic. Right? Like when you come to a holy place, when you come to a temple, whatever your mind is, as soon as you come there, there is some good thoughts that come even in an evil person's mind. Right? So Dhritarashtra, this fellow is such a cunning guy, he doesn't want his son to develop good thoughts. Even at this point, he knows, probably he knows at the back of his mind that his sons are going to die. Because he knows that Krishna is God. But even in this situation, he doesn't want his son Duryodhan to compromise. So therefore, he is eager to find out from Sanjay, what happened? Tell me. What did my sons go and compromise? That Yudhishthira is going back to the forest. What is happening? So Sanjay tells, this place Kurukshetra is Dharma Kshetra. There is good chance that your sons who are like weeds may grow. But the point is, here Krishna is present. And Krishna is like that farmer. He is present to see that the weeds of adharma are removed. So therefore, Prabhupada explains very beautifully in that purport, Krishna is the father of religion. And Krishna is present personally there to see that Duryodhana and company is going to be removed. So that's the whole understanding of this first shloka of Bhagavad Gita. So, when Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjay, why is he asking Sanjay? Because Dhritarashtra is blind. He can't see, but he wants to know. Actually, something very interesting in Mahabharata is, when the war was supposed to happen, Dhritarashtra was the only one person who didn't go in the war field. Because he was blind, he was disqualified. He didn't go. The rest, everyone was out. No man was in the palace. Only ladies were in the palace. All the other men were out to fight. From the youngest boy, Abhimanyu, 16-year-old child, till Bhishma, the most eldest person, everyone was on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Only Dhritarashtra was there back. The only Kshatriya back at home. So that time Vyasdev, who was actually the father of Dhritarashtra, told Dhritarashtra, I will give you the vision. sitting in Delhi, Hastinapur, you'll be able to see whatever is happening in Kurukshetra. But Dhritarashtra in his heart of heart, he knew what is there to see. All his sons are going to get killed. So he said, I don't want to see it. Dhritarashtra told Vyasdev, give this vision to Sanjay. So Sanjay would sit in Hastinapur, Delhi, and he could see everything happening in Kurukshetra, and then he would narrate it. So this is the power of blessings. When you receive the grace of a guru, sitting in one place, you can see something else happening in some other place. So this in understanding, in nutshell, is the understanding of the first verse of Bhagavad Gita. Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. Anyone has any questions, any comments? Do you all understand? Any questions? Can we do the next words? Okay. If you all have the Gita, you all can see it. Otherwise, you all can just repeat after me. Sanjaya Uvacha Drishtva tu Pandavanikam Vyudam Duryodhan'S tada Acharyam Upasangamya Raja Vachanam Abravit. Try to repeat it again. Sanjaya Uvacha Drishtva tu Pandavanikam Vyudam Duryodhan'S tada Acharyam Upasangamya Raja Vachanam Abravit. Anyone can read the translation loudly?
One in bold letters.
Yeah, exactly.
And Sanjay said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhana went to his teacher and spoke the following words.
Yeah. So Dhritarashtra's question was, my dear Sanjay, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled, what did they do? What happened? So Sanjay says, my dear Dhritarashtra, King Duryodhan, Raja Vachanam Abravit, King Duryodhan. Why does he use the word king? Because that's what Dhritarashtra wanted to hear. King Duryodhan. You know. So initially he says King Duryodhan, but towards the end of the Gita, Sanjay tells very clearly that Baba, there is no chance for your son. But in the beginning only he didn't want to disappoint Dhritarashtra. So he says King Duryodhan. This is what Dhritarashtra wanted to hear. So he says King Duryodhan, what did he do? After seeing the Pandavas' army formation, Drishtva tu Pandavanikam Vyudam Duryodhan'S tada. Viewed refers to military formation. You know, this is called viewed formation. So, you know, the militaries would be arranged in formations. Like in today's times also, there is a formation. So there is an entire science behind formations. For what mission you need, what kind of formation, there is an entire military science behind it. So this is called Dhanurvidya and this whole science. So when Duryodhan sees the Pandavas arranged in this military formation, Duryodhan runs to Dronacharya and he speaks the following. So now Duryodhan going to Dronacharya, what does it mean? That means Duryodhan is actually scared at this point. Because Duryodhan felt the Pandavas were like, we threw them out of the kingdom with nothing. How did these guys manage so much? You know, such a powerful army they have gathered from nothing. So this fellow becomes a little scared and he runs to his teacher. Just like a small child now runs to his teacher, teacher, help me, like that. So like this he is running to his teacher. So the Bhagavad Gita in total has 700 verses in total. So the breakup of these verses are, one verse is spoken by Dhritarashtra, the first verse. After that Dhritarashtra doesn't speak because there's nothing else for him to speak. You know, he keeps hearing. 41 verses are spoken by Sanjay, like this verse, Sanjaya Uvacha, 41 verses. 84 verses are spoken by Arjuna, you know, his questions, you know, his comments. And then 574 verses by Krishna. So total it adds up to 700. So Bhagavad Gita has total 700 verses. So this combination of Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. Dhritarashtra represents duplicity. You know what is duplicity? What does duplicity mean?
Double.
Double.
Double standard.
Double standard. So you show a different face, or you ask a certain question, but you actually want to know something else. So Dhritarashtra, apparently the first verse, he asked a very innocent question. What did my sons and the sons of Pandu do? But the question is not innocent. He has a very cunning intention. Right? So Dhritarashtra is a very duplicitous person, shows himself as very innocent, as very helpless, but actually is very, very cunning. I'll tell you two incidences which shows how cunning Dhritarashtra is. When the war was over, and Dhritarashtra's all 100 sons were killed, who killed them?
Pandavas.
Among the Pandavas, who killed them? Bhima. Bhima killed them. Because when Draupadi was being disrobed, Bhima at that point only took a vow, I'll finish all your 100 sons. He took a clear vow in front of the assembly. And Bhima was like very desperate. 13 years, Bhima thought that day only he would have killed. At that point he would have killed, Yudhishthir controlled Bhima. So 13 years Bhima was holding that anger. And he was waiting to vent it out. So in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he ruthlessly killed all the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra. The 100 sons are dead. But the Pandavas, they are such culture. They, after the entire war, they go to meet Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. Even though Dhritarashtra is the root cause of this entire evil and he is conspired for so many things, but still Yudhishthir's heart is very, very magnanimous. He goes to ask forgiveness from Dhritarashtra and says that whatever has happened, please continue to stay with us. So when he goes there, the meeting is arranged now. And this is like a very intense meeting. Now we are going to meet him face to face. Very intense meeting. So Dhritarashtra tells Vidura that I want to meet the Pandavas in Duryodhan'S palace. So when Krishna hears this, Krishna understands that something is going on in the mind of Dhritarashtra. So Krishna says, okay, but Krishna tells Vidura, first I will inspect that place. So the palace of Duryodhan had statues of Bhima. Many, many statues of Bhima. And Duryodhan would every day practice his Gada Yuddha with the statues of Bhima. Because Duryodhan knew that this war is going to happen between him and Bhima. So Duryodhan was very much planning for it. So what Krishna does is, Krishna arranges the seating perfectly. Seat for Dhritarashtra, for the Pandavas. And next to Dhritarashtra's seat, he keeps one statue of Bhima. And Krishna comes. So now the meeting is arranged. So, so all the Pandavas, they say, uncle, please forgive us and everything. So Dhritarashtra says, okay, whatever it is, I am pained but I have forgiven all of you all. I want to embrace all of you all. So Yudhishthir goes, Dhritarashtra embraces, Nakul, Sahadev, Arjun and all go. When Bhima is going, Krishna tells Bhima, don't go. And Krishna pushes the statue of Bhima ahead. And Dhritarashtra, with all this vengeance, he puts such power and he breaks that statue. So Dhritarashtra was blind, but he had the power of 10,000 elephants. And Krishna knew this cunning guy, he's telling that he wants to embrace, but he wants to destroy Bhima. And after killing Bhima, he purposely killed, he didn't know it was a statue, he pressed and he killed. When it burst out, Dhritarashtra starts to cry, hey, what did I do? Bhima is dead. So that time Krishna says, don't worry, Bhima is still alive. So this was how cunning Dhritarashtra was. When that gambling match was going on, and when the Pandavas betted everything, they lost everything. And finally, Dushasan, Karna, Duryodhan say, Draupadi is still there, bet Draupadi. So when they bet Draupadi, and Shakuni throws that dice, Dhritarashtra is the first one shouting from there, what happened? Did we win Draupadi? Matlab, everyone is thinking, this old guy, so shameless. So So Dhritarashtra was a very duplicitous person, right? And his son Duryodhan was very diplomatic. He knew what to do at what time. So here we see that Duryodhan, out of fear, he is going to the teacher Dronacharya. So the lesson here is Duryodhan had great quantity in the army, but the Pandavas had less quantity, but they had high quality in the army. See, confidence is not dependent on number. It's dependent on how much you are convinced of the mission and goal. Understanding? Why Duryodhan was scared of the Pandavas is he could see that they are less in number compared to them. But still looking at their faces, he could see that all of them were like highly confident in this war. So confidence is a matter of having faith and trust in your goal. And because the Pandavas were on the path of righteousness, were on the path of dharma, they were naturally confident. When you do something wrong, when you have wrong intentions, automatically fear and guilt comes in. But when you are doing something right, even if you are alone, you can fearlessly tread that path. So Duryodhan, looking at the eyes of these people, he was actually so scared. So the Mahabharata explains, just like this Vyuda, there are different formations. Like in Mahabharata, you have Chakra Vyuha, it's a form of a chakra like that. So there are different formations. So the first day of the war, the Pandavas were arranged in Vajra Vyuha, like a thunderbolt, and the starting of that was Bhima. Bhima was there to head the entire war. So in this way, Duryodhan becomes really scared and he runs to Dronacharya to seek help from Dronacharya. We will read text 3 also. Pashchaita Panduputranam Acharya Mahatim Chamum Vyudam Drupada Putrena Tava Shishyena Dhimata. Once again. Pashchaita Panduputranam Acharya Mahatim Chamum Vyudam Drupada Putrena Tavat Shishyena Dhimata. Anyone else can read? Someone else can read the translation?
O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada.
Yeah. So, Duryodhan goes to Dronacharya and says, my dear Dronacharya, just look at the Pandavas' army. This huge army that they have gathered, which is expertly arranged by your disciple, the son of Drupad. So, here we can see how Duryodhan was an expert diplomat. A diplomat or a politician. He knows what to speak, how to speak, to whom to speak to get his work done. That's how politicians are. They know what to speak at what point, what words to use in order to get their work done. So Duryodhan, he had no respect for Dronacharya also. He was like an arrogant guy. But he wanted Dronacharya to be used for his purpose. So here he points out to Dronacharya, your disciple Dhritarashtra. So, in the war, each side had a commander-in-chief. Right? For the Kauravas, the commander-in-chief in day 1 was Bhishma. Bhishma was the commander-in-chief. For the Pandavas, for all the 18 days, there was one person who was the commander-in-chief. And that was Dhritarashtra. So Dhritarashtra, he is the son of Drupad Maharaj. Right? So the story is like this. To understand the life of Dhritarashtra. So Drupad and Dronacharya were actually friends, school friends. See, in olden times in Gurukul system, whether someone is a son of a king or son of a Brahmana, both would go to the same Gurukul. Just like Krishna and Sudama went to the same Gurukul. So Dronacharya, Brahmana, and Drupad, son of a king, both went to the same Gurukul. And in Gurukul they become very good friends. So in friendship, Drupad, young boy, he told Drona, when I become the king, I will give you half my kingdom. Small child, he just said this. And gradually they passed from their Gurukul, both got married like that. Dronacharya gets married to Kripi, the sister of Kripacharya, and Drupad goes to become a great king. So one time, Dronacharya, he was so poor, generally Brahmanas are poor, so Dronacharya was so poor that they had nothing to eat at home. Who's the son of Dronacharya? Anyone knows? Ashwatthama, good. You know something. So the son of Dronacharya is Ashwatthama. So poor Ashwatthama, there was nothing at home. There is not even milk at home. They were mixing atta and water and giving this boy. So Kripi, the wife of Dronacharya, tells Dronacharya, Baba, there is nothing at home. Your friend, he promised so many things. Go and ask him something. Now we have nothing, go and ask him something. So Dronacharya goes to Drupad and tells Drupad, you remember in childhood you were friends and you promised me half the kingdom. Give it to me. Drupad says, get lost. Hell with you. Those are childhood days. Now things are forgotten. Now friendship is among equals. See what is your level, what is my level. Get lost. I don't want you. So Dronacharya comes back. But Dronacharya is very hurt. He decides, I want to take revenge. Therefore, Dronacharya becomes the teacher of the Pandavas and the Kauravas. The only reason is he wants to take revenge against Drupad. So he becomes the Bhishma also was looking for someone to train the children in military art. Dronacharya comes at that point. So Dronacharya trains the children, Pandavas and Kauravas, and now it is time for them to give Guru Dakshina. So Dronacharya tells them, I want only one Guru Dakshina. Bring that Drupad alive and put him in front of me. So the Kauravas go first to fight with Drupad. Drupad destroys them. Arjuna goes with the Pandavas. And Arjuna captures Drupad and brings him to Dronacharya. So now Dronacharya tells Drupad, now we are equals. Actually now the entire kingdom is mine, but I am merciful to you. I will keep half the kingdom and I will give you half the kingdom. So now Drupad is very hurt. I mean, a king is insulted like this royally. So Drupad decides, I want to take revenge. So Drupad does a yajna. And in this yajna, he wants a child who will kill Dronacharya. And who is the child? Dhritarashtra. Actually, Draupadi is also born from that yajna, and Dronacharya is also born. Dhritarashtra is also born. So Dhritarashtra is born to kill Dronacharya. And now when it is time for his education, Drupad sends Dhritarashtra to Dronacharya only. And Dronacharya being a Brahmana, he knew this child is going to kill me. But as a Brahmana, he gives this education to Dhritarashtra. So now here, Duryodhana is pointing this fault to Dronacharya. He's telling him, you did this mistake. You taught this guy, and now this guy is there fighting against us. So why is Duryodhana telling this? He's trying to indirectly tell him, now don't do that mistake again. Don't be lenient to the Pandavas. So this is how diplomatic Duryodhana is. So here we find the friendship of Drupad and Dronacharya. It started with good friendship, but it ended up in both becoming enemies. And in the war, Dronacharya actually kills Drupad in the Mahabharata war. And Dhritarashtra kills Dronacharya. So what started with friendship ended with becoming worst enemies and they killed each other. But the similar line you have in Krishna Leela, Krishna and Sudama. Both went to the same Gurukul of Sandipani Muni. And Krishna was the son of a king, Vasudeva. And Sudama was a simple Brahmana. Sudama goes and gets married. Krishna goes and gets married in Dwarka. Krishna becomes the king of Dwarka. And Sudama exactly like this. Just like Drupad's wife tells, Dronacharya's wife tells Dronacharya, go to Drupad. So Sudama's wife tells Sudama, Arey, go to Krishna. ask something from Krishna. But Sudama, you can see here the difference both in Sudama's mindset versus Dronacharya's mindset and Drupad's mindset and Krishna's mindset. So when Sudama goes, his wife is telling him again and again, go to Krishna, go to Krishna. Sudama doesn't want to go only. Because Sudama is thinking, how can I go and ask Krishna anything? If in friendship I bring material things, if I start to ask something, this friendship will go, everything will get destroyed. So Sudama is not ready to go to Krishna only. Finally, after his wife, pleads so many times, Sudama agrees. But the only reason Sudama agrees is, he says, I will not go to ask Krishna anything. Rather, I will go to see Krishna and give Krishna something. Dronacharya, when he goes to Drupad, he doesn't take anything to Drupad. He goes empty-handed. But Sudama takes that poha and goes to Krishna. And after going there, Sudama not once he asks Krishna anything. He doesn't ask anything. He's just happy seeing Krishna, meeting Krishna, and he comes back. And Krishna, knowing what Sudama wants, Krishna is Krishna has such beautiful heart. Krishna is feeling, I know Sudama wants wealth, he wants something. If I give it to Sudama in front of him, what will happen? That means I am in a superior position. He will feel bad, huh?
He will feel humiliated.
He will feel humiliated and I will feel superior position. So Krishna says, I can't do this. So Krishna tells, he thinks himself that let Sudama go to his place, Porbandar, and I will reach all this wealth there before he reaches there. And Krishna just sends all this wealth. There is a beautiful friendship between and Sudama because both were thinking about the other. They were not thinking about themselves. So in a good relationship to last, we discussed this last time also. If you put conditions in a relationship is not going to last. If everyone thinks about themselves, the relationship is not going to last. Right? And here we see even in Krishna Sudama Leela, Krishna didn't focus on externals. Right? Even though Sudama was so poor, Krishna still kept that memory and he was ready to serve. So when you keep the other person in the focus, and especially in a relationship when you have Krishna in the focus, when you have the Supreme Lord in the focus, then everything is perfect. So in this way, Duryodhan goes to Dronacharya and is trying to instigate Dronacharya. Now don't do that mistake again. Now you fight wholeheartedly against the Pandavas. Right? We will read one more shloka and then we can end for today. Text 4. This one, right? Can you just give me Bhagavad Gita? Just give me one. That shloka is not here. Okay. Atra Shura Maheshwasha Bhimarjuna Samayudhi Yuyudhano Viratascha Drupadascha Maharata. Here in this army are many heroic bowmen equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna. Great fighters like Yuyudhan, Virat and Drupad. So now what Duryodhan basically does is, he gives the list of the warriors on the Pandavas side. In English there is something called SWOT analysis. You know what is SWOT analysis? Strength, weakness, opportunities, threats. So like that. So basically the war is going to start, the game is going to start. So Duryodhan is first explaining the strengths of the Pandavas, right? And then the strength in his side, like that. So here is giving the list of people on the Pandava side, Yudhan, Virat, Drupad. And he says all of them are as powerful as Bhima and Arjuna. Why does he compare with Bhima and Arjuna? Because for Duryodhan, these are the two most important people and he is the most scared of them. So he says all of them are powerful like that. And the verses continue like this. Drishtaketus Chekitana, text 5. Drishtaketus Chekitana Kashirajascha Viryavan Purujit Kunti Bodhascha Shaibhyascha Narapungava. There are also the great heroic powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kashiraj, Purujit, Kunti Bhoja, Shaibhya. These are the list of the powerful warriors, Pandava side. Text 6. Yuddhamanyoscha Vikranta
Yuddhamanyuscha Vikranta
Uttamaujascha Viryavan
Uttamaujascha Viryavan
Sobhadra Draupadeyascha
Drupadayyascha
Sarva Eva Maharata.
Sarvadeva Maharata.
There are the mighty Yuddhamanyu, the powerful Uttamauj, the son of Subhadra, the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. So in this way, he gives the list of the Pandavas, and from the next verse, he explains the list of warriors on his side. Right? Who are the warriors on his side? Like this. So we will stop at this point. We will continue from that word, the text 9, whatever it is, the next time. Text 7? Text 7. Yeah. Anyone has any questions, any comments to what we discussed today? So, the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita is more of setting the scene, basically. In the first chapter, actually, Krishna doesn't speak only. The first chapter of Bhagavad Gita is basically, the first part of it is setting the scene of the warriors on both sides, and then Arjuna starts. Right? So basically, after explaining both the warriors on both sides, Arjuna, he tells Krishna, my dear Krishna, take the chariot in between both the armies, I want to see all of them. And then when the chariot of Arjuna is taken in front of Bhishma and Drona, Arjuna becomes very emotional. Because he's ready to fight, but seeing Bhishma and Drona, two people whom he actually loved so much, he becomes very emotional and he starts to break down. And Arjuna gives many reasons to Krishna why he doesn't want to fight this war. So that's how the first chapter ends, with Arjuna giving various reasons. And then at the start of the second chapter, Arjuna surrenders to Krishna and tells Krishna, I am not able to figure out, I am completely confused, now you please help me and instruct me. And then Krishna starts the Bhagavad Gita. So that's how the first chapter is going to proceed. So in the first chapter, the next part, when we do the next session, you will see different signs of victory on Arjuna's side, which is a very important section. You'll find that even though the war is yet to be started, it's not yet started, but already there are very clear signs that Arjuna is going to be victorious. So we will discuss all those signs also. Okay?
Very interesting.
So we'll stop here for today. Anyone has any questions, any comments? Yes.
Well explained.
Well explained. Okay.
So,
Thank you.
We were going to talk about
Yeah.
my question from last time.
Okay. Can you ask that question?
My question was about the relationship, like Bhagwan Ram is supposed to be a great son, a great warrior, a great brother. Well, he wasn't a great husband, and his wife had to go through a lot of trauma